All right. Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday to you. I pray you've had a great start of the work week, that you even had a even better weekend. Um, I know I had enjoyed my weekend, was able to get away from the city for a little bit, was down in Solomon's Island, accompanied my wife to a retreat. Yeah, she talked about the retreat here with another one of my guests before that happened this past weekend. And I'm trying to think of the name of the retreat. It's left me. I didn't actually take part in the retreat. I took the opportunity while she was going through the retreat activities to really sit down and just spend some time alone in the hotel. Uh, Worked on some ministry things, worked on some things regarding the show as well. But most importantly, it was the first time I sat down in 2 years and wrote out a sermon. Well, I won't say wrote it out, but started an outline on the sermon, and that's the first time that's happened in almost 2 years now. I enjoyed spending some time with the Lord this past weekend, and digging into the Word in the sense of trying to prepare something as far as the sermon is concerned. So that was a good time. I did kind of miss because the retreat was really great. Um, by all standards, when I could, as I was walking through hotel lobby or the halls, and I would see those that are partaking in the retreat, everybody was smiling and everybody had a pleasant attitude. You can tell when things aren't going well, when people aren't happy with what they're being given, just by their mannerisms and their smiles, um, their laughter or lack thereof. So, congratulations to my cousin Ty, who put on that retreat. And she said that she'll definitely do it again next year, although it will be at a different location for different reasons, but that I won't get into. But great job, Ty. Got a great word on Sunday from one of her pastor friends as well. Gave a great word before everybody checked out. So it's just overall was just a good weekend. It was a really great weekend. Hey, Mom, good to see you. Hey, Pastor Rosen, nice to see you as well. Love Marie, nice to see you. Hey, Marie, cousin Marie King, nice to see you as well. Sister Fagan, nice to see you. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate you all signing in and just making your presence known. And make sure to make everybody when you come in, try to make sure that you say hi, give a comment, and things like that, so that I know that you're there, and everybody else will start to comment as well. All right. So I do have a guest lined up, not for tonight, but next weekend. But at least once a month, not next weekend, next Monday, but at least once a month, I will do a random thoughts Monday, because some things may happen during the week. Some things may just be on my mind, and there may just be some things that I want to get um, off my chest. And I invite you to do the same. So hopefully, if there's some things on your mind that you want to get off your chest, I'm calling this, random thoughts Monday. But really, if there's something that irks you, I want to hear about it. I want you to talk about it. Okay. I want you to take a moment just to get it off your chest. All right. So you can certainly do that by way of chat, but you can also call in at the 410-513-9499. You can call in there as well. We can chat for a few minutes and you can verbally express yourself. Now, I do try to remind you that this is a Christian broadcast. So let's be mindful of our language because we don't want to offend anyone. But please, whatever you got on your mind, whatever irks you, let's talk about it. Get it off your chest, and then we're gonna move on as far as that's concerned. Hey, Felicia Renee, my queen, I'm here too. I know she's not actually in the house, but I know she's out doing some things, and probably getting ready to pick up my daughter, my little one, there pretty soon. Not so little. Her birthday was just this past week as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to share my first thing that really started to make me think about what irks me. Okay, and you can just reply yay, nay. Thank you for that, You are a true man of God. Thank you for that, Scott. I appreciate that, man. Um, the first thing that irks me, and whenever I see it, it really gets to me. It bothers me. And that's when I'm sitting in the car, sitting in a light, and someone throws trash out of their car window. Boy, oh boy, does that get me. It's like I see it, I shake my head, and the thoughts that run through my mind is like, did you not have any home training? You know, what compels you to just throw trash out the window? Do you have no respect? Um, Not just for yourself, because I think that's some kind that shows some kind of reflection on who you are. But do you not have respect for your environment? Now, I don't necessarily think I am a tree hugger, although I guess I am because I am about saving our environment, especially the way the state of the environment is in right now. Um, and I've always loved, um, trees and things like that. And I appreciate the world that the Lord has given us. And since I've become saved and started reading the Bible, I come to understand that we are to be stewards, okay, and that we are to take care of this planet that He's given us. But when someone just throws trash out into the street, I'm not saying this is something new. This is something that has bothered me since I was a child. Child. Hey, Andre, thanks for joining, brother. I appreciate it. Um, it just bothers me, and maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I just personally, it just that's an irksome thing. That's an irksome thing for me. It just bothers me. Um, Anybody else feel that way? Put it in a text. What else may bother you? And so I'm saying, I also said this is what irks you, but this could be a petty moment. And for some of you, oh, that's petty. Shouldn't even worry about that. And we'll talk about that. I see some likes happening. But that's just one thing. And since I'm talking about something that's in the car, I didn't write this down in my notes. I only wrote down a few things. When I'm in the car, my wife knows this about me because she's heard me say this before. And when I'm in the car, and maybe I have a touch um, of OCD, okay. But if I'm in the car and I put down windows, I need to put my windows down, and they all need to be at the same height. Okay, I can't just put down one window. All right. And I know I'm not the only one. I need to put down two at a time or four at a time. And then I like them all to be at the same level, the same height. And if you get into my car and you raise your window and or you lower your window, hey Kim, thank you for joining. Or if you lower your window, I won't say anything to you because I've matured a little bit. But inside, it takes me a moment to say, within me, I'm saying it to myself inside, no, they did not just raise that window, or no, they did not just lower that window. Because for me now, it's off, it's not right, it's not equal. Okay. I think I've gotten a lot better. I don't, because like I said, I won't verbalize it now. It's not like I would get into arguments in the past or anything like that. But and it certainly does not bother me as much. See, Felicia just said I definitely have OCD. I can admit it. I got a touch of OCD. That's fine. I can even say that even when I was in the car. So- she says sometimes I get cold. I'm not trying to say it's you. And in actuality, I'm thinking about this because I dropped my daughter off to work today, and I had put the windows down. And when she got out the car, I noticed that she had put the window up. She kind of snuck the window up on me, and I didn't even realize it. But it just made me think about that, and it didn't really irk me. It's just something that I recognize. It's just something that I recognize within myself. And I'll say before I get to my next irksome thing. Um, it used to be when I was in the car, like nowadays everything's like push button or touch screen. But if you had knobs, all my knobs had to face the same way. I know I need help, but I don't need so much help that I have to take medication or anything like that. But those are the types of things that would kind of get on my nerves. Those are the things that would bother me for a little bit. But thanks be to God, I've been delivered of that as well. And maybe that's just because the Lord saw fit to make sure somebody invented touch screens, so I wouldn't have to deal with a whole lot of knobs anymore. All right. But that's some things that I have that are within the car. So someone that throws trash out the car, there's times I just want to just get out and say, pick that up. That's not right. There's times I've wanted to blow my horn, and Lord knows you can't be doing that kind of stuff nowadays because you ain't no telling what might pop off, as they say. Somebody could end up being shot, not by me, but somebody may end up getting out the car with a bad attitude just because I've said something. All right. So another thing, this isn't necessarily something that irks me, but at the same time, it does bother me when we don't hear more things about these discoveries. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's a telescope, the Webb telescope. It's been in all the news the past few months because now it's up and running and it's been sending back these marvelous pictures and everything like that. About the universe. And what's great about the Webb telescope, and I'm going to let my nerd side come out a little bit. Yes, I am a Trekkie and things like that. I like science fiction, things like that. But what's great about the Webb telescope is when you're looking at these images, you just have to always remember you're looking at events. So the time that it takes for the light to travel for us to see that light has actually been millions or billions, according to scientists, years old. Okay. So they sent this out there thinking that it was going to give us an idea of how the universe started, or an idea, or what took place. Okay. They never said they thought they would be able to see the Big Bang or anything like that. But they can see how galaxies are formed and things like that. So I was reading, and today I read an article that the Webb telescope is starting to show that the Big Bang theory, and not all scientists have subscribed to the thought of the Big Bang theory. There were some holes in there about the Big Bang theory and things like that. But the Webb telescope, because now it's so clear, and it's starting to show things that they have not been able to see before, that the Big Bang theory may not be what they thought it was, or that it even took place. And that there's even some theories that the universe just existed. Okay. There was no Big Bang. All right. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole thing about creation. All right. I am a creationist. I do believe in creation. I believe that the universe came about, that the earth came about, just like the Bible says. But I also do believe there's a place for science as well. I just don't believe that science always gets everything right. And oftentimes, science will prove what the Bible says. It often it'll substantiate what the Bible says about creation. All right. And this appears to be another time that, yeah, there are many who are pushing the Big Bang theory, and those who choose not to believe in God, or who are self-proclaimed atheists, all right, will turn to the Big Bang theory and say that's how we were created, and then they get to the whole evolution aspects of things and things like that. And I got problems with evolution and how they try to prove that. But what's really irking me today regarding that whole spiel I just gave you about the Webb telescope is it's not being said. It's not really being pushed out there as a discovery, because now that means that many scientists have to change their narrative. They have to change that thought of, well, if that is not the case, then what is the case? And, most of them are not going to say, well, then there must be a God. They're going to try to find some other thing to try to believe in. And I always tell people, just because people say they don't believe in God does not truly mean they're an atheist. They just don't believe in God. They just put their trust and belief into something else. All right. So they may not live godly or have a righteous life before God, but they trust and put their trust in something else. And that something else can be as simple as science. So the whole thought that this Webb telescope is now starting to show, what man thought he knew, he does not know. And as clever as man thinks he is, he's not as clever as he thinks he is. He's not as intelligent as he thought he is. Which kind of makes me think about something else. A few weeks ago, and again, something I didn't write down. It was last month sometime. We do services. Myself and the evangelism team, we'll go out and do services at different nursing homes throughout the city, and we'll do like an hour-long service with some of the residents at senior citizen homes. And one of the senior citizens, I'm just going to put this out there, just as a thought, and you can agree with me or let me know what you think about it. But one of the senior citizens asked me, "Do I believe in aliens?" And he was asking during a time when we were offering Jesus Christ. We was offering the opportunity for those who did not know Christ to get to know who Christ is. And right away, I just let him know. I was like, you know what? And the reason I'm thinking about this is because of the whole Webb issue, the Webb telescope, and we're seeing all these millions and millions of stars and galaxies around these stars and things like that. I was like, in all honesty, I can't say 100% one way or the other. All I know that in this moment, God has a plan for us here on earth. God created man. God created the heavens and the earth as we know it. And he has afforded us, mankind, salvation. Now, in all honesty, do I know that there is not another place that God is operating within the universe? Because this universe is vast. Can I say for sure it's no way that there aren't any other beings in the universe? Absolutely not. I can't say that. Now, my human side, my I don't want to say my logical side, but if I'm to think about it, you know, to think that with all those stars and all those planets that no other life could exist kind of is mind-boggling to me. I feel like, yeah, there's a probability that that has happened, but that does not mean that God didn't do that too. It just means that he could be operating with them different from how he's operating with us, so let me know how you think, what you think about that. It's just something that I kind of thought about in that moment. I know there are many who are saved who believe that there are other life forms. Do I necessarily believe that they've been here? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Um, I do find it suspicious that in the past, I don't know, 40 years, 30 years, since there has been the invention of cell phones, cameras, all of that are ready, and being so ready by so many people that we have not seen anything conclusive of aliens visiting us or flying around in the sky. We always see things from back in the 50s and the 60s, but you don't see that now. You don't see that nearly as often. And it seems like if it was as much as it was back in the 60s, especially, it seems like we would have seen more evidence of it by now. So I don't necessarily believe that they've come and visited, at least not recently. But again, who knows? Who knows? Okay. But going back to my main point, and this doesn't irk me, it's just something I started thinking about how they're not talking about these discoveries that the Webb telescope is putting out there. Just thinking about it, I just really feel like, why aren't they saying more about it? And I really do believe it's because the scientific community just doesn't want that kind of information out, because then that means they had to retract some things. That means that they had to rethink some things. And in their rethinking, they may have to come to the conclusion of, you know what, we don't know. And therefore, we must submit to the thought that this entire thing, this entire universe, could have been created by one designer, which is God. And that's what I've always held to, even with the Big Bang Theory. I remember I talked to some people when I was in China. I talked to them about, and they would ask me, why do I believe in God and why do I believe in Jesus Christ? And I told him, whether you are believing in science or if you're believing in something else, Shangdi is what they call them. In the end, if you were to follow science all by itself, and I'm going off completely what I was thinking about talking about tonight, but if you just go with science all by itself, science will always, our science says we live in a world or a reality that has a cause and effect. For everything that happens, something caused it. Okay. So if scientists say that no matter what, there's always something that causes something else, that's a cause and effect. For me, even if you did want to subscribe to the Big Bang being the beginning of the universe, something had to make the Big Bang happen. And for me, it's not a something, it's a someone. So for me, even if you wanted to subscribe to the Big Bang, that does not take God out the loop. That does not take God out the loop. So that's what I was thinking about that. Kind of got away from my irk, uh, them not sharing more information about the Webb telescope, but that's just what I'm thinking. And again, give me some comments. Let me know what you think. Feel different, feel the same. If you got something that irks you, please call in for 513-9499. Would love to hear what irks you. I'm giving you open form for you to get something off your chest. Something could have happened today. Something could have happened this past weekend. Something could have happened not long ago. Hopefully not too long ago that you're still carrying it with you. But something could have happened that you just feel like, this bothers me and I wish people wouldn't do that, or I wish this wouldn't happen. Whatever it is, let's get off your chest. Let's just make sure we don't use anybody's names or anything like that. Okay. We want to change their names to protect the innocent. Okay. So that was something that irked me as well. What else did I have down? Okay. So here we go. President Trump, former President Trump. So what's irking me lately with former President Trump? All right. With former President Trump, this whole documents thing. It irks me that there are certain ones who feel that they are above the law or that they have certain privileges that everybody else does not have. And no, I'm not talking about race theory. Okay. I'm not talking about replacement theory, but there are those who actually feel that they are privileged and that they're owed something. And that's going to take me to another irk. I see a lot of likes here. That takes me to another thing that's going to probably be my next irk thing. But with President Trump, it just and I know there are many of us who are saved. I know that there are many of us who supported President Trump when he was running. But I'm just going to tell you how I feel. I think that he is narcissistic. I think that he has gone to the point where he does think he is above the law in every sense of the word, and that he can do whatever he wants to do because there has been little restraint put on him throughout his life. Okay, and he's had money to back up whatever he's wanted to do. Um, so I don't know what made him think that he can take classified documents um, out of the office and store them in his basement, not in a safe, okay, not in a secure facility, but just in his basement in a corner someplace, okay? Um, because and that to me says he just thinks he's untouchable. All right. So just him and himself, irks me. And to hear him still talk about the election being rigged and being fixed and all those things, that stuff irks me. All right. But alongside that are his followers and even those within Congress who still stand up for him, who still push the line. That bothers me a great deal. That irks me to no end. Um, and I really do feel like when I saw the news of the FBI, or was it the CIA? I forget what agency it is, going in to his home. Okay, I was like, here we go. They have to make sure that they find something that really sticks. I don't want them to fabricate anything. Okay, but if they don't find something that really says or shows, and I think that the trial has already shown that he was incompetent. I already think that the trial has already shown that he's irresponsible. I already feel like they shown that he did not care about the events as far as the rest of the world was concerned on January 6th. It was all about, because he said it all the time, look at the crowd, look at what they're doing for me. It's me, me, me. They love me, me, me. I don't think he cared about all the other things. It was about how he looks, okay, and how much they loved him. All right. He didn't think about the United States and peaceful transfer. It's all about him. Narcissistic. Again, it just bothers me. But for people, and I do believe that some of these things that have taken place have turned some Republicans off and from him, but there's still, from my perspective, far too many who are still supporting him. And unless they find something that's really damaging for him, they're going to end up treating him like a martyr. They're going to end up treating him, because really it has become, in my mind, like a cult. They follow him like he's a cult leader, and there he can do no wrong. All right, this is just my opinion. Again, would love to hear if you feel different. Type it in. Would love to hear it. If you want to call in. But I really feel like they treat him like he is some type of cult leader, and he can do no wrong whatsoever. All right. Um, and that irks me. That bothers me. Okay, and I'm not trying to be petty about that, because this is something that's ongoing, and here we go into an election season. Um, he's still talking like he's going to run again, and he's still going to have his supporters. And I think that as long as he's able to put out fear and put out lies, that provoke that fear, he's always going to have that remnant that's going to say, we want him because he understands us, which speaks to what they really think and how they feel. All right. And again, I'm not going to go into racism. I'm not going to go into all of that, although that surely is part of the issue, because they want to be able to, they still think those things are correct. And replacement theory, all that, us trying to wipe the white man off the map, or trying to remove them from the United States, or put them underfoot, all of that, that's just fear. And that's what he's able to do. That's what he's able to push. That's what he's able to push. I always felt like, and now my petty side to this, especially with the whole document piece, I've always felt that, like, when he went to China, no, not to China, when he went to North Korea, I never really felt like he was really talking there. I didn't feel like that he went there to benefit the United States. Because when you really think about it, what came out of those talks? When you really think about it, okay, did anything change? Was there any peace agreement or anything like that? For whatever reason, and remember, y'all heard it here first. I just believe he went in there because I remember hearing one of his speeches afterwards. He was talking about North Korea and was it Kim Jong Dong or something like that? I don't remember his name. But he was saying, that he was a good leader, that there's opportunity there for growth in his country. In my mind, back of my mind, I'm thinking he was in there trying to think about how he can get some property over there and put up his own buildings when he leaves office. I really do. I really do think that he was trying to cut a deal. Okay. Some waterfront property in North Korea. I really do. I think that that's just how I feel. Remember, y'all heard that here first. Because my petty side is, I hope that they find some documentation that says something like that. I'm sorry. Again, don't fabricate anything, but I just really feel that he didn't. When he would talk to certain leaders in this world, okay, behind closed doors, I don't think he was working in the best interest of the United States, because he's already proven that's not what he cares about. He only thinks about himself. So I would not be surprised. Hey, Phyllis, thanks for joining. I really would not be surprised if he was over there talking about future deals, real estate deals, you know, and maybe that's some of the documents. I don't know. At one point, I heard, and again, I can't substantiate this, but I heard that they found some documents in the toilet. Okay, that something was flushed. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, well, I'm not even gonna go any further because I don't know it's true or not, so I won't go any further. But he irks me. If you can't tell, he irks me. And though it's great things to talk about, it's sensationalized. The news loves talking about him and things like that. Certainly, they've taken him out of the limelight, which I know he's not happy about. But here comes election times, and we're going to hear a lot these next 2 years until we get to the primaries. And we need to be vigilant about those things that are being said and pay attention to those candidates that are happening. And with that, I'll just say, when it's time for us to vote, and hopefully you did vote a couple of weeks ago when we voted here in Maryland, make sure you vote. Make sure you make your voice known so that there can't be any discussion about fraud and things like that. Because now it's gotten to the point where we can't afford to have close races anymore because they want to always throw that shade. And it irks me to think that people didn't see that coming as well from the very beginning, because he said even before the election, he was saying our voting system is fraud and it doesn't work. It's like he knew there's a chance of him to lose. And I wonder if he would have been shouting the same thing had he won, But he had already started setting it up, casting doubt before the election had even taken place. Because I think he knew he was going to lose. Okay. But then his ego just couldn't take it, that when he actually did lose, that so many people did not love him and that he is not what the country majority does not want. Okay. So again, sorry, that's a big irk for me. Former President Donald Trump. And I'll still give him respect because he is the former president. Okay. There were those of us who did vote for him, and he did get in. Funny how when he was voted in, there was no problem with the voting system. But that's my irk. If y'all can't tell, that's a big one for me because I went on about him for a few minutes. All right. So again, I'm waiting for some other people, things that bother you. What's bothering you? What irks you? Okay. What happened to you this weekend that really irked you? Okay. And again, don't be afraid to share. It doesn't have to be anything big or deep. It doesn't have to be as deep or critical as like the former President Donald Trump or the Webb telescope. It could be something that's petty, like I said, just people throwing trash out the car window. All right. So I started talking about him, and I was talking about the entitlement of it all and the entitlement of his party and those who are part of that party and things like that. But what else irks me when it comes to entitlement is some of these younger generations. Some of the younger generations, and yes, I'm going to talk about the millennials for a minute. They do seem to be more entitled, or they have this sense of entitlement. Okay. And really, I do believe it's our fault. I believe that the generation that comes before them, I think it's our fault that they're like that. I think and you can disagree with me, but I think one of the reasons why we're having such a struggle with our younger generations is because it's twofold, really. It's because we did not really understand or agree with how our parents raised us. We didn't like how they raised us, okay? And we didn't like it because we didn't understand. So then that kind of says to me that had our parents, okay, or even their parents, because I came from the generation where your parent or grandchild or grandparent would say, "Children are to be seen, not heard." Okay, I came from the generation of hearing, "Do as I say, not what you see me do." Okay. I came just from that whole thought of because I said so. All right. There was no explanation of it. All right. You just did it, or you got something cross your lips. And I'm not talking about food. Okay. You will find yourself getting up off the floor. All right. Um, there was no such thing, as far as I know, not in my family, there was no such thing as timeout. There was no timeout corner when I was coming up. Okay. There was immediate consequences. And yes, I grew up in the time on the tail end of the time where, yeah, if you did something wrong out in the street, yeah, your neighbor would get you and then go tell your parent. And yes, your uncle, your aunt, your grandmother would lay hands on you if you stepped out of line. That's the generation I grew up in. That's unheard of nowadays. Okay. I survived it. Now, does that mean that because of it, I grew up perfect and I didn't make my mistakes and I didn't wander off and I was always right in my activities? Absolutely not. Okay. But it did instill some things in me. Okay. It did temper some of the things that I would not do. It did inform me about those things because I understood consequences. I don't think that the younger generation understands consequences, right? I don't think they really I don't think they really see. Well, one, I think they're kind of soft, and I know people don't like to say that, but um, they just aren't able to endure some of the hardships that we had to endure. Okay. They don't understand the struggles that we had to go through. All right. And certainly I don't understand the struggles that my parents had to go through or my grandparents had to go through. Every generation had its different things that they had to deal with. Okay. But I think because we did not understand why we were disciplined the way we were disciplined, I think that we became too easy or try to be too understanding of our children. Okay, we may have tried to over explain. All right, or giving them too much voice at the wrong time. All right, um, to the point of that they can't stand up for when real adversity comes about. It's like we overcorrected because I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that our parents did everything right. Okay, absolutely. Would some of our parents be put in jail because of today's standards? Absolutely. Some of the things that would have taken place, if those things would have happened now, yeah, that would have been considered child abuse for some of us. Okay, but being spanked by a belt, all right, if it's not done in anger, um, if being put over someone's lap and spanked on the bottom, if it's not done in anger and to the point where you're being abusive and you're bruising them and you're hurting them, breaking things like that, that ain't kill no one. That ain't kill anyone. Okay. But I think we overcorrected, and too many had tried to be their friends before they were trying to be their parent. And I think that's where we've gone wrong. So I say all that because that takes me to the part where I would really feel like that there's this younger generation that feels um, entitled and they feel that we owe them and that when things don't go right, it's our fault. Okay. And again, that kind of speaks to like that whole participatory, if you play on sports, everybody gets a trophy. I've never agreed with that. Okay. Um, I'll say this. I believe everybody should receive recognition for activities. I think everybody should be applauded for effort. Okay, that's fine. Give a certificate, things like that. But not everybody deserves a trophy because not everybody excels the same way. And I think excellence should be rewarded. When you push for excellence and you go above and beyond, I think you should be rewarded for that. That's my opinion. And I think too often, that's where I talk about where I think our children have gotten soft is because they don't know how to even handle adversity or handle disappointment. They don't know how to handle loss. You know, it's like it just it gets to them. You know, um, there are times, and we always see little jokes on Facebook and things like that. I know I put one out a couple weeks ago about the struggle being real, and it was a picture of the window roller or the window knob that you would have to crank to roll your windows up and down. You know, for us, that was everyday life. For them, it's like, why would I have to do that? For us, and I've mentioned this before, I'll never forget a conversation, or there's a couple conversations that I had with my son one time. But there was one I asked him, "Hey, what do you think is old school music? Is old school music? What would you consider to be old school music?" Okay, and he said, "I don't know. I'll be sure. I'll be sure, y'all. Did y'all hear me? I'll be sure is being considered old school music to some generations. All right, not Earth, Wind, and Fire. Okay, not Stevie Wonder. We can go even further back than that. You know what I mean? But it's like what they have grown up with is a whole lot different. The technology has made them soft. They're on their phone, they're on their laptops, they're on their game consoles, they're on their iPads. When we had to find activities to do, we had to be outside. We had to be outside. Yes. Did you have to be on the front porch when the lights came on? Absolutely. But up until then, now I understand back then it was safer to let your child run around the neighborhood. Okay. I could run around the entire neighborhood, and I mean, I could leave out, especially during the summer. I could leave out mid morning and come back early afternoon, late evening. As long as it wasn't dark out, come back. Hadn't seen my parents, a sibling, nothing. But they knew I was safe because they knew their neighbors. They knew that somebody was out watching. They knew that we were out together as kids playing together. Our kids don't know nothing like that. Our children don't know anything like that. All right. And my children are grown. All right. But imagine how it's going to be for your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. They're not going to be able to experience that kind of stuff. And now it's too scary to even let our kids out in the streets anymore. Now they get snatched. Now you have to worry about if they are walking around the neighborhood, if somebody, depending on, well, actually, it don't even depend on the neighborhood. Somebody can just open fire, start shooting. You know, can't even be safe at a park, at an amusement park. I was reading, one of my friends shared that there was a shooting in Chicago or near Chicago at a Six Flags. Somebody just drove up and shot two people at Six Flags. At the entrance. The world has gotten crazy, but I think it's because the ones that are doing these things were not properly trained, and were not brought up to respect life. And I think the parents have gotten to a point, and this is what's irking me, where they're just saying they'll catch it, they'll learn it as they go. All right. But they're not being parents, they're being friends. I want to be their buddy. And being a buddy is not going to get you anywhere. Being a buddy is just going to raise a rebellious child, from my standpoint. Okay. Um, so that irks me. All right. Have a few more minutes. I've done a lot of talking. Again, give me an irk. Give me something that bothers you. Put it in the chat. Okay. Um, Call in 410-513-9499. Let me know what you're thinking. What irks you? Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said thus far. But these are some things that have been randomly on my mind. When it comes to, and I meant to say this, that I have wrote a quote down from Plato. Okay, I'm not a big Plato person, but I still think some of the things he says is true. But you should not honor men more than truth. You should not honor men more than truth. And I really do believe that when it comes to um, how we're raising our kids, how we're allowing certain ones to believe they're privileged. Okay, thinking back to Trump, um, when we honor the person more than the truth, and I believe that's where our country's at. We're honoring the party. Okay, we're honoring the ideology of certain things more than we're honoring the truth, and we're more concerned about being on the winning team as opposed to, well, what is the truth? And even when the truth is given to us, even when the truth is shown to us, we would rather ignore that and say, I'm still going to back this person, even though I know they're a liar, even though I know they're wrong. I'm still going to back this because I don't agree with that. Which brings me to another irk is we've gotten away from, and I know I'm not the first one to say this, we've gotten away from the whole thought of, well, if I don't agree with this, I can't agree with nothing. And if you don't agree with this, that means you disagree with me completely. And that bothers me. I don't know how did that start. I don't know and understand how we've gotten to the point where we can't hear one another because we don't agree on everything. I don't know or understand how that's happened. Okay. Just because I don't agree with you does not mean I can't respect you or value you as a person, or that there's other things that I can agree with you on. Okay. I've said it before, I've said it plenty of times. There's no one in this world, okay? I don't care who it is. There's no one in this world you're going to agree with 100% of the time that you're not going to have a disagreement with, okay? That you're going to have a screwy face with from time to time. No one. Not everybody's going to be pleasing in your sight. Not everybody's going to think the way you think on every issue of life. And if you want to be honest with yourself, Christian or not, you don't even agree with Christ 100% of the time. You don't agree with God 100% of the time. Because if you did, you would be able to do everything that's within the Word of God, without exception. Without exception, you would agree with it. And we don't agree with everything that's in the Word of God. If you're just honest about it, because if we agree with, all right, maybe you do agree with it, but you don't have the fortitude to do it. Because really, what you're saying is, if I know that's the truth, but I choose to do something else, I'm aligning myself with flesh more than I am aligning myself with God or with the Spirit. That's what you're doing. Okay, so maybe that's a false statement I just made. Maybe you do agree. You just choose in your actions to do something else because it's more pleasing to the flesh than it is to the spirit. And the flesh is always at war with the spirit. Okay. I was looking to see, I think I talked about um all my irks because I only wrote down a few. I was hoping I would get a few from you all. That's fine. I'm just gonna share something because if you do have some things that irk you, all right, and you know me, um, I do my best to try to find how do I handle this according to the Word of God. All right, so I just want to share a couple of things from a biblical perspective, just a couple of scriptures, if you will. All right, if you don't mind, and I only have a few moments left. The first one I'm going to share is 14:29. It says, "He who is slow to wrath has great understanding, but he who has impulsive exalts, or who is impulsive exalts folly." You probably heard this before. Maybe you have. Um, but like for instance, when I was talking about seeing someone throw trash out the car, okay, um, I need to make sure I temperate myself, show some self control, okay, because there's a part of me that wants to show my wrath, and I'm not talking about getting out and physically fighting or anything like that, but just having some words that could be wrathful, if you will. All right. So it's best for you not to quickly get angry. Okay. Because you have to understand. My understanding, right or wrong, could be they got no home training. I'm sorry. That's what I think. All right. But that's my understanding. Therefore, if they don't know better, I have to just accept that. I just have to accept that. But he who is impulsive exalts folly. So, in other words, if I am to act on how I'm feeling, all I'm doing is lifting up the opportunity for more foolishness. That's all I'm doing. I'm lifting up more opportunity to provoke more foolishness. Because let's say I get out the car and I start arguing with someone that put trash out. That small little infraction. Because for many people are going to think that's a small thing. And that's why they do it. For me, it's a bigger thing. But if I get out the car, all right, people are going to look at that and say, look at those two fools arguing over trash. Let's go a little bit serious. A few weeks ago, you had the squeegee boy shoot the man who got out the car with a bat. Okay. Tragedy. That's stupid. That's foolishness. All right. Now you may look at the man and say, "Well, why would you get out the car with a bat? That was stupid. That was in my mind. That was foolishness. You don't get out looking for trouble." Did it bother him that they're out there doing that? Absolutely. Are they right to do that? No. When you really start to think about it, no, they should not be out there doing it. They call them workers, squeegee workers. No, they're not workers. They're not paying taxes. All right. They're doing things under the table. And in all honesty, if they get to the point where they're like, pay me or else, that's robbery. Okay. If they're putting pressure on you, making you feel like you got to, that's excuse me, that's not work. That's robbery. So they shouldn't be out there. All right. Understand they feel like they got to get the hustle. Understand. But there's other things out there that we should be helping them get to so they don't have to hustle in that manner. All right. But that's foolishness. That was foolishness. And we look at that on the news and like, that's just crazy. That's wrong. Okay. It's wrong for them to be there. It's wrong for him to not have to get out because it was silly for him to get out. Okay. But it was wrong for him to get out and brandish a weapon. Okay. He brought a bat to a gunfight. Foolishness. Okay. Out of impulse. Foolishness. Hey, Brother James, people who hold loud conversations on their phone in public without earplugs. I got you. Yeah, that could be irksome, especially in a restaurant. That happened to us when we went out that night. I think that did happen to us when we went out that night. Someone next to us had started talking on their cell phone with it on what's it called, speaker. Nobody wants to hear your conversation. Absolutely, that's irksome. That bothers me. Thank you for that. Yeah, that was that night we went out. I knew that had just happened to me not too long ago. Okay, but that's not the only time it's happened. It's not the only time it's happened. Okay. So Proverbs 14:29. Let me go to Proverbs 19:11. Excuse me. Proverbs 19:11. And again, if you got other things that bother you in Irky, please type it in. 19:11 says this: the discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression. So again, this kind of echoes the previous one. All right. It's better for you to not get angry. Okay. All right. Show some discretion. Ask yourself, is this really worth me being upset about? Should this really bother me? Okay. I think for a lot of people, you have to look at like road rage. If someone cuts you off, all right, do you really think that people cut you off on purpose every time you get cut off? I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Okay. Or do you think people are purposely going slow when you are in a hurry? Okay. They don't know where you're going. They don't know what you're dealing with. All right. So for you to take it, for you to show some discretion within yourself and saying, you know what, there's no need for me to get angry about this. I just need to navigate myself around this. All right. There's no need for me to give them a friendly wave with a finger as I pass by. All right. Just show some discretion. And guess what? The glory is to overlook that transgression. Just overlook it, move on with your day. All right. I know there's some people, something like that happened. I remember one time, there was a lady, I didn't realize I had cut her off. And she was actually, this happened to me twice. There was another time he was traveling to Connecticut, and it was at night. And evidently, I must have cut someone off switching lanes or something, or I thought I cut them off. And I did not purposely do that, but they was like driving up, give me a friendly wave with a finger and keeping up, what they say in Top Gun, foreign relations, and followed me for some time, was blowing their horn for some time, and I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't do that on purpose. And they probably went home and fussed with their kids and their spouses and all that, talked about how bad things were, and it wasn't even anything done to them purposely. It happens, Learn to let some things go. Learn to let some things go. James 19-20 says this. So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. When you operate in anger and frustration alone, you're not operating in the righteousness of God that God has given us. He's given us the ability to act like him, because Lord knows we are constantly doing things that could provoke him. Okay? And he often will overlook those things. He will often overlook those things. All right. Finally, I'll just read this and then I'll sign off. It says this in Colossians. It says, Colossians 1:10-11, what you may, that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing him, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in knowledge of God. Okay. All those things I talked about prior, those things you want to increase in the patience, okay, the discernment, okay, the controlling of your wrath, all those things. So he continues on and he says, strengthen with all might according to his glorious power for all patience and long suffering with joy. You need to operate in patience, long suffering. All right. You need to know that greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So because he's in you, you can activate patience. You can do those things that can help you get past the wrath. And when those things come about that irk you, when those things happen that irk you, you can rely on that righteousness that he's imparted in us. You can activate that patience, that loving kindness. Okay. And that can help you in your day. And you don't walk around with a wrinkle in your spirit all day because of what someone else did. And they may not even, again, done it intentionally. All right. So those are my random thoughts for this Monday. All right. Hey, Sister Sherry, thank you so much for joining. I hope you go back and listen because I'm getting ready to sign off now. But please go back and listen and hope to connect with you and Pastor fairly soon. But those are my random thoughts. Okay. Again, if you have some things that you still need to get off your chest that still irk you, all right, feel free to put it into the comments. Sometimes just typing things out. Sometimes writing a letter can make a big thing go away. But really ask yourself, does this need to be a big thing, in all honesty? Okay. Thank y'all again. I do have a guest lined up for next week, the 22nd. I look forward to seeing you then. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy the guest. I'm always looking for new fields to sow in. I have 2 or 3 other persons that I want to invite as well. I just haven't had the opportunity to have a conversation with them as of yet. But I am endeavoring to trying to get more people to be on the broadcast so that we can have some great conversations. But as always, I appreciate you all who come on a regular, or even those of you who are just checking in for the first time. I appreciate you coming in as well. Know that I love you. I always love you. For those of you who have never been here before, please like or follow the page as well, so that you can always be aware when we are having our conversations, and that our audience can grow and that may promote even more conversations moving forward. Um, if you do not know who Jesus Christ is, that is the conversation you must have with someone. I invite you to have it with me. I invite you to have it with anyone. You can just put in the chat. I want to know what it means to be saved. Okay. You know what really should irk you? If you don't know who Jesus Christ is, what really should irk you is that when you leave this body that you have, there's a place, heaven or hell. And what should really irk you is that you're going to go to a place that is not going to be fun. And what will be real irksome is that you will find yourself in hell when you could have just simply accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And if it gets to that point, there's nothing you can do at that point. You're just going to be irked for eternity. What an irksome thing to think about. I'm laughing, I'm joking about it, but that's something serious you need to think about. And I know it's asked many services on Sundays, but the most important question is, if you were to die today, if you were to die tonight, okay, where would you go? Do you know for sure, 100%, where would you go? All right. It's the most poignant question in life. What happens to you afterwards when this body dies? Where would you go? If you don't know, put in the chat, I want to know more about Jesus Christ. I want to know what that's about. I'll be happy to respond to you. Don't be surprised, because I know there are many here that are saved and believe. Don't be surprised if they may respond as well. But it's the most important conversation to have while you're still living on this planet. All right. Thank you again for letting me get some things off my chest. I look forward to seeing you all next Monday. Be blessed and stay nice and warm, or stay nice and cool. Stay nice and dry, because it's supposed to be a little rainy out as well. But be blessed for the rest of the week. Talk to you soon.